Well, hello everybody. Okay, so we've just wrapped production on this documentary called A Conceptual World of Color and Epistemology. This was brought to you by many people, many artists, and primarily who's behind the camera right now, Peter R Nicholls. And this was, for years I'm, walking past the art gallery, walking through Lower, and Peter had approached me about, potentially doing a documentary one day. And, the art crawl's coming up, the October art crawl for 2021, so he wanted to do a documentary about his art and about conceptual art particularly. It was a great joy for me to be a part of this documentary. It was very fun and very interesting, and when you delve into something that you might not have thought of in a certain way before, it kind of challenges you to bring out any little bit of knowledge that you might have deep in your brain somewhere about the subject matter at hand. So it's good to take on different projects, different from what you're used to. And we really hope you enjoyed this documentary. Myself and Peter and everybody involved would like to thank everybody else that was involved in this documentary, and we really hope you enjoy.
Well, all art is conceptual by nature, so therefore really all art is conceptual. But for me, conceptual art is modern art. It's fun, it's movable, it's inclusive. It really encourages a lot of people who are not otherwise feeling like they're an artist to try out different experiments to create an expression that means something to them. And we need all of these expressions in order to really have a full picture of really what the potentials are of this type of art, really, more than anything. How it relates to epistemology in the context of what I'm doing is questioning the meaning of what is art. Conceptual art is so modern that I think a lot of people are not really aware of all the questions that it can raise. And I think that bringing forth an exhibition that is thought-provoking, that challenges our senses, that brings up interesting questions based on different perspectives, is really the goal of this exhibition. And within that goal, I would hope that in some ways everybody at a certain point in time would feel like they are an artist, that they are the artist that is truly inside them. And so to awaken some of those things would be a tremendous reward, a tremendous benefit to the whole exhibition.
Conceptual art for myself would be where it's about the concept as opposed to what is actually created. It's the idea behind the creation. And as far as epistemology goes, so where do these ideas come from within ourselves? Are they woven in through our experiences? Are they epiphany moments? Where do they derive from? How do these ideas translate into us? Often in banal moments, where we're doing something that has nothing to do, perhaps, with our art, and how these ideas conceptualize within us. Where do we go from there?
Well, the purpose of the exhibition is to generate questions, which encourages free thinking. It seems like we live in a world right now where questioning everything is not so fashionable. Clearly, we have found ourselves living in the dark ages. The purpose of the exhibition is to return to the source of human nature. I hope that the art pieces will show humanity in a beautiful way, to bring us back to a state of pure love, of thoughtfulness, of kindness. It's also the exploration of unity within the colors and the forms. The exhibition, in a lot of ways, is it's a theme of togetherness, ourself being together, and just present to who it is that we really are. And I think that at the heart of it all, it's to promote communication. I think we have so many ideas, we have so much to offer one another, and I think it's by finding a medium that people can gather around and talk about, and I guess ultimately, idealistically, to make the world a better place.
For me, it was once said that art is bringing order out of chaos, and I think that's very true. And I think this is also relative to life itself, that we go through periods of time of chaos and then order and reorder. Things are fluctuating back and forth, and out of all of this we get new ideas and new concepts for people to consider. And in particular too, with conceptual art, people are bringing new ideas to the forefront for us to consider, to really pin down what art is I think an incredibly difficult question, and we tend to compartmentalize it as opposed to opening it up and considering what isn't art. Life itself is an art form, and so in art we can consider all of these different questions and take that as deep or as light as we choose.
Something that I was thinking about and that I wanted to mention for this is mainly speaking on behalf of Peter and myself. We both have recently gone through a little bit of some rough times, little bit of grief, a little bit of trauma, and so here I'm wearing one of these necklaces. It's called the Bleeding Crystal, and we thought that it was an amazing sort of way to put it, in the sense that when certain crystals are distressed, they bleed color. And if you think of us as human beings, if you imagine yourself like a crystal, when it comes to emotions and stuff like that, we bleed. We feel happiness, we feel sadness, we feel grief, we feel all these different feelings, good and bad. And and we bleed. We bleed in real life too. We bleed blood. But as you see, this is a beautiful art piece at the same time. So if you think of yourself like that crystal, that's what art is really at the end of the day. We're all damaged in some way. We've all bled. But it ultimately forms us into what we are. It gives us the morals that we have and stick with. It gives us better resilience and better strength. And if going back to the crystal again, if art is very healing that way, and so the bleeding emotions, as I said, form us into who we are, and if we can correlate that into art, art can be a very healing thing for us human beings. And if you think about it, all of these different colors, they all bring different emotions, they all bring different vibes, and that is how nature intended it at the end of the day. So if rather than going against things, if we can embrace color and embrace them as nature intended, we can better fulfill ourselves and become better artists if we are artists, and become better people most of all.
My name is PJ Reese. I'm a writer, and here I am talking about art. Well, that's a stretch, but I am a writer, and when I'm writing, my characters are on a journey to discover they really aren't who they thought they were. So I'm trying to knock my protagonists out of their trance. And what is art, it seems to me, but the attempt to knock people out of their trance, out of their comfort zone? I mean, look at the trance everybody is in today. I think it would be, there's never a better, more of a need for art than right now. Yes, people need to be knocked out of their trance. And I think if people are sensing that they are being disillusioned about themselves, I think that's really attractive. I think people will, like the moth to the flame, they want to be destroyed in a way. And so whatever encourages people to ask questions about themselves, about anything. People don't ask questions anymore. And that's what people need to do. That's art. Conceptual art, wow, I know, it's so strange. You drape the Grand Canyon in plastic. I believe that's conceptual art. People go, what the hell? Okay, there's the question. It's a good start. It's a good start on the way to knocking himself, herself, themselves out of their trance. Okay? That's my take on it. That's my 2 bits worth from the writer. Who knows nothing. No, I really don't. You'll have to ask me a question.
What is epistemology? What is your take on epistemology?
Epistemology.
Yeah.
The science or art of knowing what you know. How do we know what we know? That's I think if people ask themselves that question, we wouldn't be in this mess we're in right now, where we have people in 2 camps, 3 camps, challenging each other without really knowing how they themselves, how we ourselves know what we know. So, yeah, it's a mysterious science, that is. I have no idea. I have no idea how we know what we know. But I guess we have to challenge ourselves. We have to perhaps start from a starting point of we don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. That's a good starting point, because I don't think ultimately anybody does know for sure. So what? So our life is a journey toward finding out. And science is never sure about anything. They just leave themselves open to being disproved, and that's science. So maybe that's epistemology, just laying yourself open to discovering you're wrong about something. How's that? That's my take on epistemology.
Conceptual art, to me, is freedom of mind, and to think of something, just a simple idea, can be the beginning of something wonderful. And if it affects people in a positive way, which is truly why I do the work that I do, then I know I'm doing it right. But mostly, it's conceptual art is doing something from a basis of love. And if it's going to be helpful, encouraging, and just make another person's life better, I'm going to do it. Epistemology is perfect as part of this whole togetherness show, because it is about questioning everything. And if you don't question it, first and foremost with yourself, how are you going to be truthful to anyone else? The work that I do in designing clothing, dresses in particular, but sometimes a whole wardrobe depending on their needs, it's about allowing them to live their authentic life, simply because what they're wearing makes them feel like they've got a little bit of a superpower. It feels great on the skin. They love the color. It's their favorite fabric. That in itself allows people to be who they are, and in turn, everyone else around them sees them as living an authentic life. In the beginning, I wasn't living an authentic life until I started to do something that I love. And dresses, just like this one right here, it's going to take me a second to find it. This one is called Reverse Flame, A New Perspective. Flames are always red, but on this dress, the flames are black. And then they become red, which gives power to whoever wears it. You don't always have to see things the same way everyone else does. It's a new perspective, and Reverse Flame, I hope, helps people understand everyone is individual and everyone is doing their best to live an authentic life. And yeah, I guess that's kind of it. It's authentic life equals authentic living and authentic love.
Okay, awesome. And why don't you just at the very end here introduce yourself to the audience with your full name?
Oh yeah, right. You're gonna need that. I'm Kevin Michael Perry.
Well, I think conceptual art has more to do with the idea than the actual aesthetic result. At least that's how I understand it. In a sense, all art is conceptual, be it music, writing, painting. However, conceptual art as a field, I think, has an extra focus on the idea. So in that sense, more than aesthetic, it's cognitive, in a sense. That's how I understand it. As an architect, I do conceptual art every day. I mean, the end result is always aesthetic, a balance between aesthetic and functional. But to get there and to resolve layouts and circulations, I'm constantly making conceptual diagrams that have no aesthetic value, but it's the idea. So from an architect's point of view, not an artist, I think I could see how artists would work in this way, with less concern about the aesthetic result. As far as epistemology, my philosophical knowledge is limited, but the little I know is that if we want to know, if epistemology is a study of how we know what we know, then conceptual art, as a selective recreation of reality, focusing on an idea more than the physical result or the material result. Conceptual art is a vehicle to help us know, and not only know why we know. That's my take.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very much. That was great, Joe. And why don't you just introduce yourself to the audience with your full name, if you could.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joseph Oteruelo in Gibsons, BC.